guess what? Guest tonight had kind of an emergency situation. No, I'm not going to blame her at all. It was not her fault, but she had a problem at home. So I did the best I could finding a guest in 30 minutes. Chris Garcia volunteered along with Harley Dark. So we're going to bring them both out here in just a few minutes. I will warn you, this could be an interesting show. We've all had some assistance with our personalities tonight. I won't elaborate any more than that. I'm drinking. Well, let's not do product placement. They're not writing me a check, but it's not alcoholic. It's a soda with a little bit of caffeine in it. So I'm trying to get my edge back. Anyway, let's go on with the show because you know what else can I do? So Bones, get that off my face. There we are. And let's go ahead and go with the intro. Hit it, Bones. Please. Get the going, Bones. Bring the skinny over there. We'll slow to it.
Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman featuring Bones. Catch us on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Stream, and everywhere else you catch your podcasts. And of course, WLFE-DB.com. Now, from the backwoods of southeast Arkansas, right beside the Bayou Bartholomew, the longest bayou on the planet, broadcasting from downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township, here is your host, Len Dorman.
Hey, somewhere. There I am. I'd like to say hello to everybody watching us on Facebook, YouTube, WLFE.com. And later on the recorded show out there on Spotify and all the other podcast networks. Yes, this is kind of worldwide stuff. Sometimes scares the heck out of me, but sometimes the guests fade away too. Oh no, we're on Spotify. Oh! But that's the way we do things around here. WLFE, DB. I know they're owned by Ted. He's the boss guy. And it does show up on all of your favorite podcast networks. So hello to you watching this in delay, maybe a year from now, maybe 6 months or 24 hours from now. Hi, I'm from your past. What can you tell me about the last time? If you're watching this a week from now, what went on this past week? Did the world end? Can you send me an email? Anyway, let's get started with the show with Chris Garcia and Harley in the dark. Chris is somewhere. There he is.
Oh my God. You know what? This actually is going to be the third time that we have a show. And of course, my friend Harley. And this is crazy how we just do this. And it just goes with the flow. So, yeah. So, we're just going to just have an open book. And anybody want to talk about whatever. Nothing in particular at the moment. But the only thing I did remember at the last show that we talked about, that was crazy with the bunker. That and then what else did we talk about? The Mothman with Jeepers Creepers. That was so connected. Um, oh my God, we talked about so much stuff. So with Harley, we never know what.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yes, I know, and so we can talk about just whatever. Anything
there she is.
You want to talk about anything, Harley? Bring it up.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it is kind of interesting, about that. So this is what I think. I'm gonna throw this out there, just
Yeah,
random.
it is interesting.
I would just leave it this. What most people think that if, because I can bring a little bit, and Harley's gonna laugh at this one. If anyone thinks that demons don't exist, vampires don't exist, werewolves don't exist, you're wrong.
Hi, Mary. I see your comment. Other than that, I can't see comment. If it pops up, like at the top or whatnot, I can see it. But other than that, I can't see it.
So, so did you hear what I said, Harley? I talked about
Yeah,
vampires. Yeah,
yeah,
you can
they all
you can go ahead
exist.
and add a little more fun to that. Go ahead, Harley. I'll let you take over from there.
Are you serious? You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead. I told him that it's not true that vampires do exist.
They
You know
do.
what? But you know what?
Even
It's funny.
demons exist. And not just that. I mean, some people think all demons are evil, but really, are they?
Yeah. And then you know what? We can go there. And you know what? We're gonna go just all over the place. Um, we had a good subject maybe a month ago, maybe about 2 months ago when we were talking about the Bible. Did he just go there?
He did. And
He
so,
did go there. He just went there. Yeah, he did. That was I like that. I like that intro. Thank you. That was hilarious. But what I'm gonna say is, if people think that witches and this and that was a cult, I don't get y'all because it's contradicting you. Because I'm not disrespecting the Lord, of course, but everything that we've talked about, that they use incense and don't you're not supposed to drink blood because it you drink his blood, but then there's different things that it says, it contradicts, and
what are
I
you
just
talking about? The
disagree.
Bible contradicting itself?
Yes, and everything that you have talked about and everything you taught me, it just doesn't
Yeah, it
line up.
contradicts itself.
It just doesn't contradict itself at all because it's like
It
they can
does
do this,
contradict itself. You're
and
getting
then
that confused.
yeah, and then it says this, and then we do this. They can do that, but we can't do this. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it says that vampires can't drink blood or humans can't drink blood because you can't drink blood because it's a sin. But then you go to church and you drink the blood of Christ. Yeah, it may be wine, but it's still they say it's the blood of Christ. It's contradicting itself.
Yeah, and I just totally disagree because I think for
I,
people to need to wake up
I've
because
heard some
magic is
churches say that you're supposed to bathe in the blood
what?
You
to
can
get
bathe.
rid of, wash away all your sins.
You can bathe in the blood, as in like some people back in the day believed that blood made you feel not as old. It made
Hmm.
you feel young.
Yeah,
It
and
made
then
you look young.
along with those lines,
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
just doesn't make sense because I'm gonna go a little bit further and a little bit deeper. I don't know too much, but that's where Hardy's gonna be getting kicked out of this. I know a little bit, but not too much.
Well, the
Once I
human
talk about
body
this,
cannot digest blood.
yeah, and it can't. And it says to eat his bread. And it gets rid of your sins
Yes.
and you confess. But the way I look at it is, if you're
Right.
gonna drink blood every Sunday, you might as well just stop because you're gonna be sinning every day. We sin every day, unless you're gonna promise whatever you believe in that you're gonna stop. don't even bother drinking the blood, and don't even bother
I
drinking the blood.
mean, the
Wait,
Bible contradicts itself. It says you can't drink blood, but you can drink the blood of the Christ. It says you can't have incense and you can't be rich, but you go to the altar to pray.
Yeah, yeah,
It says you can't have an altar, but you can go to an altar and pray. It
yeah,
says you can't do magic, but you do it every day.
yeah,
When you are with Christ, you actually do magic because you go to the altar and you pray to Him. That's magic.
yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me, but
And
it
yeah,
is
or
whatever people
the
believe
fact
is what.
the fact that you created the heavens and all in mhm.
yeah,
It's faith,
yeah,
it's belief.
yeah, and it's whatever your belief system is,
Because
and that is
if you're
true.
gonna create the heavens and earth in 6 days, that's magic. That's snapping your fingers and creating something.
What was that word
Hmm.
again? Then
But
can
it
you repeat
tells you
that?
you can't use magic. See, the Bible is contradicting itself. It's saying that you shouldn't be.
Exactly.
Um. Okay. And in other words, it says you shouldn't be incest. But the Bible states we're from Adam and Eve, and then Noah and his wife. So
Yeah,
that's incest.
yeah, and it goes to contradicting itself. Like,
Yeah, that's why I don't believe in the Bible. I believe in God, but I don't believe in the Bible.
but you know what
But
I'm gonna say, and I'm
the,
gonna have a little something too. That also
incest is kind of a it's incest is kind of a scientific thing. If two people have a weakness for Parkinson's disease, which is genetic, or some other kind of genetic disease, or at least a weakness for something, is going to compound that thing for the children. And that's why, you know, they used to make you do a blood test to see if you're related to get married in a lot of states. You had to prove
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I
you're not
remember
related
about
to
that. My
each other.
mom told me about that.
yeah, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
I'm
They
not
stopped doing that though.
and then another thing too, like
Yeah,
you
they
know how
did.
they have how they have Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel. You know they all have like this nice features about them with these wings. Well, I've heard from others that the archangels that we call are not as appearing as they really look. So it kind of contradicts that too, where they look like that so they won't look scary, but that's not how they really look. And then I'm just gonna throw this how they talk about Lucifer. Yeah, did I go there? Yeah, I did.
Lucifer's not evil. Like
I know.
honestly. Like why would God give him the number 6? Did y'all know that number 6 means love? Yeah,
But
it
what?
might say 666, but like his number is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I
in
just think that.
theory, 666 is the number of the son of the devil, the Antichrist. But if you look
Yeah, but
deep in the
is it
Bible,
really the
especially if you
sun?
go to the Jewish Bible, yeah, they but they believe the Jewish. If you look at the Jewish Bible, which the Old Testament is based on, and just a rewritten copy of, uh, Satan is chained up in hell. He got sent to hell when he fought against God, and is chained in hell in water. That every time he flaps his wings to get out of the water, it freezes and pulls him back into it. So he's in his own little personal hell down there. The churches
Yeah,
say that the devil is alive and tempting you to do things as a way of
yeah,
explaining the evil that dwells in everybody. We
yeah,
all
Yeah, but
have a little bit of
Satan
evil
and
in us.
Lucifer,
Yeah,
I
we all
think.
either you have a temper,
Hmm.
but we all have a little bit of temper in us. We play around behind our spouses. You know, we commit all the 7 deadly sins almost on a weekly basis.
It's
And
true.
it's that having saying the devil made me do it or the devil tempted me.
No,
All right, I'm gonna stop the
that's
devil
just
from
a way
tempting me.
that people use.
It's it's just that's my point. That people use it because they themselves have a weakness for that. They have a weakness for
Yeah,
drinking. They have a weakness for gambling. They have they have they have a weakness of kleptomaniacs. If they see something they don't have, they say, "Oh, I'm going to take it because I deserve it."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
and
kind of
it's
the
true.
root basis of anybody stealing stuff. I deserve this. These other people don't deserve it.
yeah, that's true. And it's sad because you know what? It go. I can even go
I
even
just don't
more
like
personal.
that saying where they say, "Oh, the devil made me do this," or "the devil um corrupted me," or something like that. Because it's not the devil; it's actually you.
Yeah, it's you.
But yeah, it just
We're
doesn't make
flawed
sense.
creatures.
Yeah, we are. And the thing is that I'm gonna add a little something.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna ask you a question. I've never brought this up on any show, but I'm gonna bring it up because we're in that right in that forte or whatever you want to bring up. What people say is that if you get tattooed, you're going to hell because it says that you're not supposed to have any symbols on your body. That's your choice. You choose to have that. That has nothing to do if because they say that it's all wrong. But the way I look at it, God's gonna love you no matter what you have on your body. Piercings, tattoos. So you're telling me that, say, if you want to put in memory of somebody on your arm, of a family member, you're going to hell?
But the thing
So,
is 90% of the Bible is man-made. They took out pieces for people to believe what they want. They wanted them to believe what the government wanted them to believe. It's not even whole. The Bible is not even whole at all.
hmm
Lucifer is not even evil. He is an angel that fell from heaven because he believed that he loved God more than humans. Why would
hmm
you punish your own son for loving you more than something you created? You did, like Lucifer didn't create that. You did. Why does he have
hmm
to love something
yeah,
that you created? That's the only reason
Well,
he was punished.
there, there
yeah, and
is
I,
one line in the Bible that I fully agree with. He said that it's a saying that it's toward the back of the book. I forget what book it's in, but it says no man was not meant to understand heaven or hell, but
Hmm.
nobody has it right. No man has it right. No woman has it right. No church has it right, and it says that right in the Bible. We don't
All
have it
churches, when you
right,
go to churches, they
and we're
all
not
teach
meant
you
to
something
know
different.
everything.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
and nobody has it right. And
Yeah,
I believe
Nope.
there is a God, there is a Jesus Christ, but he is not like any description you've ever heard of.
yeah, yeah.
My mom told me
And
a story when
He's very it's just,
she was in a coma and she came out of the coma. This is before she passed away or whatnot. I believe in God. Don't get me wrong. I believe that there is a God, but I don't believe everything that's in the Bible because it contradicts itself. Because 90% of it is man made. But the story that my mom
well
told me when
that's
she
what
was
I'm
in a
kind of
coma,
I'm
yeah, go
the
ahead.
the only thing I disagree with you is the percentage. I think it's about 95% written by man,
yeah, it is.
especially the New Testament. It's made with letters that were written 200 and 300 years after Christ died,
Yep.
and people's memories
That's why I
are
say it's
fallible,
man made. It's not
especially when
from
you're getting your
God
memory
Himself. So the things
second
we
and
do
third
and we
hand.
try to follow them doesn't mean we're going down the right path like He wants us to.
That's
I
where
mean,
free will.
And in
You're
other
right.
words, like Chris, he's a psychic. In the Bible, they say that's a
Some of the
sin,
past.
being a psychic.
But it's true. But then
Have
it
you
gives them.
heard about what some of the pastors are getting from people in church now?
Go ahead.
Uh, we ought to be a pastor trying to teach the Sermon on the Mount, the way Christ is saying, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." People are telling pastors, "I don't agree with that. That's too weak. I want to have a strong
What?
God." Yeah, it's
Well,
some of the people going to church now are just gone completely bonkers,
yeah.
and they want the
And I
And
strong
not just
message where
that,
God
like
makes
you
you do
meet
stuff.
people that say that you are a Christian or whatnot, but you can turn around and be mean towards people because of their own beliefs or whatnot, even though that this, like he says that we have free will.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
what
Like
it's
people
so
want. They
many
want
times
this
I meet
where they
Christians
can bully.
or whatnot, and they will put you
mhm,
down more than any other religion.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly. They look down on the Jews. They don't want to be nice to Jews. Don't want to speak to Jews. Protestants think Catholics are going to hell because they drink wine.
yeah. But I mean, it's
Catholics
that,
allow
and
everything in moderation.
yeah. But I'm gonna tell you how she talks about psychics. It tells us to stay away from people like us. But this is what I believe in my heart. If that is true,
Then why does
which I
God give us
know it's
the
not, which
ability?
I know it's not, God can give anybody a gift. A painter, you could see the gift because they're painting and you know they got talent. A lawyer, doctor, we can see all that. But when it comes to a psychic, medium, sensitive, whatever you want to call yourself, clairvoyant, whatever, empath, that's all supernatural, occult. So in other people's eyes, there's no such thing. If you're saying that, then in my perspective, then you don't believe in God because God is powerful to give you that gift for the ones that know that have it. Now, everybody that
Yes.
doesn't believe in that, you need to go back and do your research because God had a gift. If that wasn't true that we don't have, there's no such thing as psychics that we're, if you go into a psychic, you're going to hell or a psychic's going to hell. If that is, if that's the case, then they're contradicting there too. You want to know why? God could hear your prayers. God knows what you're thinking before you do. If and that I do believe because if he couldn't, where do you think that comes from?
I mean, I
Empathics?
believe in God because of the stories my mom would tell me. Like when she's in
Exactly.
like a coma or whatnot, you think that people are laying there and they're sleeping or whatnot, but really, they're not. They're in one or the other. And my mom told
Yeah.
me this story. She was like, she came back and she was like, I had like this weird experience, and I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, I was up in heaven the whole time I was in a coma. It's like totally different time zone than down here. I was like, yeah. She was like a 5 minute conversation with God, and it's 3 months down here. And I was like, yeah, I understand that. She was like, you know how they say that Jesus Christ has long hair and dark eyes and whatever skin? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, he doesn't look nothing like that. I was like, what do you mean? Then so my mom explained it to me. She was like, well, when I saw Jesus Christ or whatnot, he looked like a guy with short hair with white eyes.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that's not what they teach us. They teach us that he has long hair. And my mom's like, yeah, I don't know why they teach y'all or why they try to teach us that, but he doesn't have long hair and it's short and he has white eyes.
Yeah, that
And
white
that's
eyes.
when my
Well,
mom
it's
went to
my
heaven
belief
and saw
that
him.
if Jesus Christ existed where he did, when he did, there's no way he's white because there were no white
No.
people in the Middle East
Yeah.
2,000 years ago.
Yes.
Remember the Crusades were for Christians going down there trying to retake the promised land. That was 1,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, white people didn't visit there. I mean, you had the whites living up in northern Germany in huts. They were not visiting Israel or Palestine or Egypt or any of those countries. Jesus was Jews are part of the Arabic race. Jesus
That's
would
true.
look much more like Chris than me. Because I'm a little bit pale faced if I hadn't been in the sun. My
I'm
ancestors
really pale because I
probably
don't
most
go in the
likely
sun.
British,
Oh my God.
but most of you people in Britain came from mainland uh, Europe back when they were joined together. Yeah, that was snowy, so you didn't have any dark people there.
Yeah. And you know what? It goes
They
along
didn't
with
get much
everything
sunlight,
you're saying.
and
In a
so
way, and like to me, with that being said,
I don't.
I feel like
Somebody told me once how they wore their hair,
how
and it
did
may
they
have
wear
been
their
shorter.
hair?
I forget what they told me.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember what he said. But they said I think it was shorter because they could cut hair back then. He most likely had a beard he trimmed, and they were not like all natural beard. They weren't shaggy like I am. Of course, I trimmed a little bit. I grow a beard in the wintertime to protect my face in the cold when I'm outside because I got a lot of yard work to do. Some of my yard is a mess, but I grow a beard in the wintertime just because I'm outside a bit. And as it gets warmer, I start thinning the beard out. Next time I take a shower, I'll probably trim some more of it off, thin it out, and trim it back. And by the first of the month, all I'll have is a mustache and a little goatee, and sit back to my normal thing, and a closely cropped goatee and a much thinner
That is,
mustache.
you know what
And
is
they
crazy
could do the same thing back then. They had knives where they could do some personal grooming. So Jesus may not have had long hair, but he
I
definitely
just
looked
know
Arab.
the stories that my mom told me, that's all.
Yeah. And what is crazy is that I'm gonna add a little something too, because to me,
So
this is a real good question. I've always thought of myself with with everything that we do, it makes me sit there and wonder if everything is bad at what we do, because there's a lot of psychics that don't even use cards, archangel cards, tarot. What else? We have the, hold on, I'm gonna show you one. The No Rebel deck. Just any type of deck. It doesn't matter what type of deck. It could be just any type. Witch tarot, the Eagle tarot. I mean, just making up stuff. The Native American tarot. I mean, all this was made here on Earth. So it just doesn't make sense to me, because if all these stuff was provided, it makes you wonder, is this stuff really bad? If it was all provided, like this deck right here. This deck is kind of creepy, by the way. This one doesn't have a filter, so everyone that has seen this deck, you know what I'm talking about. Mary. Anyways, and others. But like I said, it's just everything that has been made. Yeah, it maybe was a publisher or whatever the case may be, but my philosophy on that is I don't believe the archangels are bad cards. Tarot, because when you look at tarot, it talks about the world. It talks about the Fool card. It talks about the Chariot card, which talks about foundation. It talks about the house. It talks about change. Um, the tarot has the death card in it that talks about transformation, afterlife, reincarnation. So Do you all see where I'm going with this? It talks about life. It's a
Yeah.
tool that
Yes.
people like us we use. So in reality, is it really evil? I don't think so, because all this stuff was provided.
I
If
don't
it
think so
was
either.
evil, I just think that if it wasn't provided, then then I'll go along with saying, you know what, this tarot is bad. Why is all this evil stuff provided? I don't think that evil would do that. It's how the person that has the
What?
card that put intention on the tarot or just any
Mhm.
deck for that matter. But that's just
You're right. Uh,
uh,
I'll tell you something. Uh, the Gail's grandmother always said. Some people say that us going to the moon didn't happen because we weren't meant to be there. God wouldn't want us there. Her grandmother, Gail's grandmother, always said that God gave man the knowledge to go to the moon, so he went. God gave men to build an electric car like Elon Musk. God gave Elon Musk the knowledge to be a success in life, and he's one of the richest people, one of the top 2 or 3 richest men in the world. She,
oh
she
yeah,
was just say, God bless God for giving him that gift, and that's the way she looked at it. If you made a lot of money, it was a gift. If you were smart, that was a gift. If mankind went to the moon, that's not against God. God gave a bunch of people the knowledge, the mathematics, to be able to go to the moon. Then we figured out how to
yeah,
build a rocket and figured out the mathematics we needed to get there
yeah,
without
and it's
without
funny
much
that
help from computers. That was just
that's
God given
funny.
knowledge.
That's funny
People
you
were
talk about
smart.
math because the tarot also has math in it too. That's why I'm just like I sit there and laugh.
Well,
All
But
numbers have a
really,
reason, and
I
all
didn't know
numbers
that.
is math.
yeah, exactly, exactly my point.
Okay,
Every single number
well, you taught me
has a
something. Thank
meaning.
Yes,
you.
yes,
Okay,
I agree with that. Now I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna do this because I'm just itching just to say it. Um,
I bet you are.
say it.
really, really hard.
Say it. Say
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
Say
we're
it.
gonna see. Okay, this is something I've been saying over and over and over and over and over again and again. I've talked this about Harley. I've talked this to John. People, y'all need to wake up. Y'all recall maybe 3 days ago, Facebook shut down, no service, didn't work.
Uh huh.
First thing I'm gonna do, I actually thought I got hacked. There's others that they got hacked. We couldn't hack into our messenger, and they said it was Facebook. That some people said, "Is this really you?" No, to me, I think that's a diversion, and I'm gonna call y'all out. The people behind Facebook, because I don't care. I personally think that people need to take this as a warning that, hey, think for about it 1 second for most of you. How do you talk to each other? Messenger. How does family talk through Messenger? Eventually, there's going to be a time that all this that you see right here, it's going to be gone. Don't take life for granted because it can be taken away. And we're going to go there too, Lynn, because remember when we talked on the last show, we talked about Russia. We talked about China. They can hit the satellite and it's gone. No service on our phone. No service on our supposedly smart TVs, which we know they have a listening device in there. They have a listening device in here probably, and they have an iPhones, and you know where I'm going with this. So, people, you need to start opening your eyes. The signs are there. It says it in the
Mm-hmm.
Bible. It says this. It says
Yeah.
that. And people just don't see it. Some people are like, oh, they're just probably
Uh,
fixing it or whatever. My
mm-hmm.
eyes, when I saw that, I told John, I said, you know what, dude? This is validation to what me and you and Harley said. But nobody listens to us. We're
Yeah.
called the outcasts. They don't believe anything we
No.
say. Nothing what we say. We don't know shit, but we
No.
technically do. and it makes me mad because
Yep.
they
Mhm.
take internet for granted. They take the Wi-Fi for granted. Everything we have.
I I had a, I
And
had answers for our immigration problem. Hmm. They don't listen to me anymore. I had answers for our immigration problems 25 years ago. Nobody listened to me. We were having a water crisis also. They didn't listen to me 25 years ago when I gave them the solution to it. So
but
nobody pays any attention to
yeah, but
what
that's the
we
thing
say.
that is sad. But
Is
that's the
is there
The
problem.
government is never going to listen to us because in their eyes they're right, and if they have to say we are right, then it looks like they're stupid. That's why.
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
they do not have long term thinking. I mean, you politicians are thinking to the next election. And that's the problem with the House of Representatives. They're elected every 2 years. So that's all the planning they have. They get elected, they get sworn in, and they're already working on 2 years in the future to be reelected. Senate gets elected every 4 years. They're looking 4 years ahead, and that's as far as they look. The president, he gets elected for a 4 year term. That's as far down the trail as he looks. That's the problem with humanity. No long term thinking. They
they
don't
just
think
put.
about where do I want my great grandkids to be in 100 years. They don't even consider that.
Yeah, no,
They
no,
say
they don't.
I got mine. Let my grandkids get theirs. The hell with them. I looked at my
That's
father once. And I said, why the hell did you have kids if you don't care where your kids even survive or not? He just said, well, I'm not going to pay for it. They can pay their own way.
What?
And it's just no long term thinking. That's the problem of it's a curse of mankind.
You know what it is? It's
Is
all
that it's zero
brainwash.
long term thinking. Oh, and
We
by the
have
way,
been brainwashed.
Chris, the last church I went to, they called me a seer.
Ah! Oh,
Church
bro.
won't come to my house
You
no
what,
more
Chris?
because they don't like
That's
my the way I talk.
yeah. But see, but we have said this to
Oh,
everybody out there that come
that,
across Lynn's page. And by the way, I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm not saying this because he's my friend, but you need to check out Lynn's page more. He spreads knowledge. He brings the truth. Um, hopefully the guests that other people come on besides me and Harley or whoever comes on, Lynn is awesome. I'm saying that honestly. Um, as far as other
Out of
platforms
everybody I met, yeah, he's pretty
yeah,
cool.
and he spreads a lot of knowledge. So share the network out along with his every time whenever he comes on, um, because you never know. If there's a day where he doesn't have a guest, he might just spread some knowledge. You might learn something because this man right here is beyond wise. He has blown my mind since the day I met him. Like I blow his mind, he blows my mind. He just really creeps me out. And a lot of the stuff I have said has been validated through him. So all I gotta say is just y'all need to check him out.
well,
Spread the word.
well, thank you
That's
for the
all I'm saying.
compliment, Chris. Uh,
So I'm being honest.
uh,
I'm not sitting
of
there to
course,
say that. I'm
you,
being honest with you. You
uh,
are very wise.
you,
People need
you,
to
you,
pay attention.
you don't know
Yeah.
part of it. Uh, Gail and I have, Gail specifically has a retirement account. Several years ago, I said, okay, I don't know what they've got your investments into. So we got to looking, it was all in the stock market. I was like, okay, the stock market is falling. You need to get in bonds. So we transferred everything to bonds. And last month, where the stock market is rising up to record levels right now, I said, let's get out of bonds. We've made enough money there, and let's get in the stock market. And our investment has been in the green, which means it's rising in value almost every day since we moved over.
Wow.
The bonds go up and down. They're about even, maybe a little bit lower than they were. But we are in the green almost every day since we moved that over.
That's good. That's a
So
blessing.
Gail doesn't want to hear about that either because I just look at shake my head and I said, I'm getting tired of being right. I've predicted a lot of governmental things
And that's the
about
thing.
what
I've
people
done
would
it too.
do. I I predicted COVID. I said there's fixing to be a disaster. We were going to a church at the time, and I said, okay, we got to go. There's a disaster fixing to happen. Then I talked to a guy who ran our pool exercise class. I said, we need to shut it down. He said, why? I said, COVID. He said, well, nothing's been talked about with the city. I said, call the city and see what they say. He called the city, and it just so happened that the mayor that very day had said we need to shut down the pool. I
Yeah,
had not talked to the mayor, but
yeah,
I knew he wanted to shut it down on the very day he wanted to shut it down.
and that's the thing
And we
too.
had to shut it down through COVID.
And then this is another thing I'm gonna add too. Harley's long known long enough to know that you're a nice person. You're awesome. Harley just said it too. And I just love what you do. And I would say don't change for the world. And you've always been very informative,
No, I appreciate it.
and you've taught me a lot. Just to be myself, not to be anyone else. And
That's all
yes, I've
anybody
been.
can
Yeah.
teach you is to be
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So now, with you,
That,
Harley, do you
and be
agree
the
with
best
everything
you can be.
For
do you
real.
do you believe in what I said, Harley, about him being good at what he does? What is your input
Yeah,
about his shows? What is your
I
input
already
on
said
his
it.
shows?
Like, he's amazing. Like, the last time I was on here and stuff, we had a very good conversation and stuff. We've had a very good time. I mean, his input and his information is pretty out there. I mean, he
Well,
has pretty good
good night,
knowledge on the
Loretta.
things he knows.
You know, yeah, yeah, but I do feel that it's
Go ahead and
gotta.
tell Loretta good night. She's leaving us.
I know it's early, but I just feel that there's others that I can promote too, because that's how I feel. Because I promote a lot of my friends. Because there's one particular person. Hold on, Chris. I just don't feel like coming out yet because I'm just not ready. I'm not ready because I just want to be in the shadows. I don't think so. That one person came out of the shadows after all this time. And by the way, let me clear my throat.
Is this person really out of the shadows?
Yeah, technically you are because you're on a platform. So, oh, did I just
So,
say you?
I've been on
Yes.
plenty of platforms.
No, but I'm talking about her. She's amazing. I, I would say that I'm not saying this because she's my friend, but
Ida says hi,
for
Chris.
people that I will say this one thing. I know I said hi, Adam, is that in time I'm gonna let you guys know something because I already feel it. Probably might say she's not ready to come out, but don't be surprised. Maybe in another 3 years, 4 years, her name will be out there. I'm just saying that. I don't know why I'm feeling that, but I'm just letting you know that she will be spreading a lot of knowledge to you guys. Um, she's also a good friend of mine, and she's just amazing. She blows my mind as well, and I've done it to her many times as well. But as time goes on, Harley, I just want you to know, and I'm throwing this out there, is that I'm very proud of you. You've came a very, very long way. And even though Lynn, you didn't know her that well, but as time as you gotten to know her more, she wasn't the type to ever come out on a show like this. So that to me is a big improvement. Now for you, Lynn, knowing that you got to know her, what have you seen from the time that I introduced you to her, from here to the group and all this other stuff? What have you seen that you?
I've known him since back in September.
So
I think
what
it
do
was
you think?
September, or August or September.
So what do you think, Lynn? Anything?
What do I think about Harley?
Yeah, what I
She's
said.
been around. She's Harley's willing to learn, keeps an open mind, and if you want to have a discussion with her, she doesn't get mad at you. She just comes back at you with how she believes.
Yeah, there you go.
Have I about got that
Yeah.
right, Harley?
Yep.
And by the way, Miss Shadows in the Dark, you're coming out. You just don't see it.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I had to throw that in there, but like I said, man, I'm very proud of you. Honestly, I really am. You came a long way, so I'm just throwing that out there too. And for John, no
Yeah,
indeed,
because
I
you
don't know.
gotta understand, people like us back in the day, they did not come out. They didn't even speak. They hid in the shadows because
Mm-mm.
there was peoples that were called. Okay, sorry that I'm slurring my words. There's people called hunters back in the day that used to hunt us down. So for us to come out is like a big thing, even for today.
I agree. I agree. And I've been around
Mm-hmm.
for a long time too. And I've even noticed that as I grown, it's so funny that you bring that up because I get attacked. But why?
Hunters
Why
used
do I
to hunt us down back in the day. Why do you
get
think that whenever you go to a grave site or whatever, and there's these things that are on top of a grave site, it looks like a cage. It's to keep something in. And they were called vampires because back in the day when they died, they would hunt even after they were dead. So back in the day, they would build these cages around their grave site so they couldn't escape. So
Mhm.
yeah, hunters has always been around for many centuries.
Is that one of the reasons why you didn't come out because you were going to be judged?
No, it's not about being judged. You don't understand the people that watch us. You don't understand what's still out there. People, it's down through generation. Hunters, they learn from their parents, and then their parents, and then their parents. It's handed down through generation. So when people come out and they say, "Oh, I'm a vampire. Oh, I'm a demon. Oh, I'm a werewolf. Or I'm a djinn. Or I have the bloodline of this, or this, or this." It's like, well, am I going to be hunted down now because I came out? Because back
That's
in the
good.
day, they hunted people down.
Yeah, and I think you're
We
right with
lived in
that.
the shadows.
Yeah, and I was like that too when I first started, but you know what made me come out? This voice in my head. You need to come out. You need to be heard. You need to spread the knowledge. I did, and I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hunters are not as bad as they were back then. Hunters back
Yeah,
then were really bad.
yeah. I mean, I think some of them are still out there, but it's gone to where I think there's just too many of us that they
They
can't get rid
used
of all
to,
of us.
in other
There's
words,
too.
they used to hunt us down and stick us in a area that was only for those type of people, and then they would listen and hear,
Yep.
take photos, experiment with the person or whatnot, and then just leave us there in the darkest room.
Thank you, Ida. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And it's funny how Lynn said he went to church and they called him a seer. When are you ever gonna hear anybody, for that
Yes,
matter, to call anybody a seer at church? That's just very uncommon.
you're not.
So for me to hear
What
that from you, Lynn,
I
I
I
find
could
that very
I could see
insane.
what I would do,
People were
I'd
scared of me in
use
church. They
remote
didn't want to
viewing.
talk.
Mhm. I could see things going on outside, do a remote viewing, and come back and say something, and they'd say, "How did you?" And one of the women at church said, "Lynn, I don't know what kind of power you have, but it's amazing." Okay, it's just something I can do.
Yeah, but not and
And
that's good that they believe
that's
in you
Chris
because
has
without them
his
belief,
gifts. I have mine. Harley, you have yours. We all have our little gifts.
yeah, we're
Hmm.
special in our own way, you know,
That's what makes
and
us unique.
what makes us stand out. Yeah, and it goes along with other things
I
too,
have
like
oratory skills.
yeah, and you know what's
Uh,
crazy is that people don't believe in afterlife. They think, oh yeah, well you're gonna die and go in a casket, and it stops there. My perspective on that too is what you did on
Wouldn't those
here.
be people? Wouldn't those be people that were called like atheists, don't believe in anything but what's here and now?
Yeah, but you continue.
right.
It's just a different.
That's why right now, as we speak, you have the ultra rich building underground shelters because they are seeing the same thing I am about World War III. So they're putting millions of dollars into underground shelters so they can continue to live because they're of the belief that what they have in this world is it. You know, if you got $500 billion in the bank, like Elon Musk, well, it's not quite that much. It's actually around 200 billion. But what's the difference? That you're
Yeah,
in heaven now. You got everything you want. You got power. You got money. You know, you can own anybody on the planet, and that's kind of their version of heaven. And they don't want to die because they're afraid that one, if they believe in God, they're going to hell, or two, they don't believe in God and thinking when you die, that's it. You just everything just goes black. It's like unplugging a TV, and that's not how it is. We have an
no, it's not.
afterlife, and we'll all see each other in the afterlife.
Yep, yep, that is very, very
There,
true.
there,
I
there
believe
is
in that.
something beyond this,
Oh yeah,
and
there is love there. That's funny because
I don't know if there's any reincarnation.
I believe in
I believe in
reincarnation.
reincarnation because I've been reincarnated.
Do what, Chris?
I believe in reincarnation too. I do
See,
believe
That's
in
why I
afterlife.
believe in it.
I have no proof that I've ever been. I've never been
Well,
reincarnated before. I don't think I've no knowledge, no thoughts. Uh, you know,
So like there's this
I guess
thing that
both of you
happened
have
to me.
reasons for believing it, but yes,
There's something that happened to me when I was like 17 years old
you,
where this angel came down. It was like in a dream or a vision or something where this angel took me up to heaven or whatnot, told me that I needed to remember and told me that because I kept praying, like saying, why did you give me this type of life? Because it's painful. Like something that I would go through, not a lot of people could handle when I was a kid. And I kept asking God, why did you give me this type of life? Well, by the time I was 17 years old and stuff, an angel came to me in my dream and took me to heaven and then showed me the book of life and told me, don't you remember being in this line? Don't you remember picking your mom's name? Don't you remember doing these things? Like you're the one that chose this life, not God. He gives you free will to choose what you want.
yep, that I believe too.
And that's
well,
when
I've
it
always said
came,
that free will.
like,
Mm-hmm,
it's even free will up there,
yeah,
meaning he gives you the opportunity to come back, teach his word, or whatever you're supposed to learn in this life, he gives you the opportunity to come back. But he also gives you the opportunity when he opens that book, you pick the name, not him. He asks you, who do you want your mom to be? You pick the name. He don't.
Yep.
And that's when I came to,
Okay.
that's when I understood, because I was praying so much, asking him, why did he give me this life? It's not something that people would want to live.
Right, Ada.
And I was going through a lot, and then he showed me that. So it kind of opened up a lot of perspective of things.
Yeah, it's just very interesting, and some people just don't really get it. It's sad that people don't get it, I think, to
Like I
me.
see a lot of stuff on Facebook like, why do I have to live this? I hope I live through this, and I think I'm gonna die or whatnot, but like they don't understand.
Yeah, they don't, because I mean, they just, I guess some people just are very don't understand what our perspectives are. And as you grow more in the in the spiritual world and being gifted, some of us think a little bit alike. Not all of us do. Something we agree on, something we don't. But as far as reincarnation, past lives, believe in. Um,
I believe them
most of
because I've seen them.
yeah,
Not just that, like, have y'all ever been on YouTube where you guys, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I go through videos or whatnot, and I seen this little girl. She was about 3 years old, and she was talking to her mom, and she made her mom go to this location. And it was like a bridge or whatnot. And then underneath the bridge was like water and rocks and stuff, maybe like an inch or two. It was like deep enough that if a car turned upside down, you would drown. Okay, and she was walking and she was talking to her mom, and she told her mom, stop, I know this location. And she was like, what do you mean? And she didn't understand what was going on or anything. She was like, I died here in my last life. Like, I had a car accident, the car turned upside down, and I drowned. Then her mom's like, what? Like, that's like a lot to take in to be a mom and to hear that from your own child. So I was like watching that movie, or that show or whatnot off of YouTube, and I was like, wow, that actually brings a lot of perspective into, yeah, kids are more open to the spirit world. They're talking about being reincarnated. I've been talking about reincarnation for like 10 years, and some people really don't believe in reincarnation, but they're
hmm
starting to learn that people are actually
Well,
reincarnated.
mhm.
yeah,
I'm just been a fence sitter because I've never seen any proof that I'm or any inclination that I've been reincarnated. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying there that I personally have
Yeah.
no evidence to either
Hmm.
discredit it or credit it. I don't I don't go either way. I'm a fence sitter. If
Yeah.
somebody wants to believe in it, fine. It exists. Please explain to me how it works, like you just did. You did explain to me how it
Hmm.
worked. Just then, Harley.
Well, there's
So
also another
I'm
time
not. I
where,
can't argue with you because
okay,
I have no evidence.
yeah, that's like your perspective. You don't know if it's there or not because you haven't experienced it. There was this one time, this is like not
Exactly.
even in this lifetime, actually. I remember this or whatnot, but I don't know if it's real or if it's like a vision or something. But I remember walking on Earth, okay? But I had no body, okay? And I saw like this type of light. It was like a orb in the middle of nowhere. And like you walk towards that light, and once you touch it, you're reincarnated. And that is supposed to be like the in between heaven and
Okay.
hell. type thing. It's like when you're a ghost, but you're not a ghost. It's like what is it called? It's like the in between place. I forgot what it's called.
What are you trying to think?
So, some people call it purgatory.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. It's just a very dark place. You just walk around. It's kind of like you're in, like like you're living, but you're not living because you're just a spirit. You have no body, and then you're walking around for so long or whatnot, and it feels different. The lighting is different, but then you see a dark orb or a light orb or whatnot, and you touch it, and supposedly it's like you touch it and you're born. It's like you go through that light, and then bam, you're being born.
That is
And then
true.
all of a sudden you see yourself coming out of your mom, but you don't realize it because you're a baby. I had that
Mm,
happen to me in a different life.
wow. Yeah, I remember she told me
Okay.
about one live that she did,
I've never had an
and that
experience
she,
like that. But
well,
mhm.
Same
yeah,
way as in hell. I've been in hell too. They
Yeah.
say that whenever you, like, so you do something that's so bad on earth, okay, and then you go to hell and you live 1,000 years in hell. But it's not just hell. You go through different types of hell before you're reincarnated again. So you can start all over so you have a chance to go to heaven. See, God says that He will give you chances after chances after chances, even after you learn a lesson.
mm-hmm,
So
that's what
being
I
in
know.
hell, I went to hell, and then it was like going from hell to the abyss, and then went from the abyss to the abyss of nothingness. It is completely like black tar down there. And you're down there, you're screaming, you're crying, you want a way out, you can't breathe, you're breathing in all that stuff. And then some reason, some light comes out of nowhere and picks you up and takes you out, and then you're born again.
I just think some people just are very skeptic when it comes to the stuff that we all talk about, Hardy. It's sad because you don't
That's
expect
because
it.
they haven't lived it yet. But if you can believe in Jesus Christ, you should be able to believe in stuff like this.
Yeah,
Because you don't see Jesus Christ, you don't see God, but you believe in God. So the stories that people have doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means
no,
that they lived it and they're trying to teach you about it.
yeah, yep, and that is true.
Harley, what
That,
state are you in?
I'm in Texas.
Harley,
yeah, she,
you're in
Yeah.
Texas. Well, you know
Hmm.
how kind of like the churches are. I'm in Arkansas, and the people now here are Protestant. There's not much Catholicism going on in the whole state, but there's no such thing as ghosts. I get a lot of feedback, and don't have that many friends here because everybody knows I'm a ghost hunter.
Yeah, but if
Before
you
we even unpacked
actually
our bag,
go ahead. Sorry.
huh?
I said go ahead.
Oh, I
Sorry.
was going to say before we even unpacked our bags here, I I did a ghost hunt at the courthouse and contacted a couple of spirits in the courthouse in front of about 15 people from the city of Star City. So it hit everywhere that I was a ghost hunter. And like I said, we ain't even unpacked our bags in this house yet. But the majority of people don't believe in ghosts. They say, oh, he's not talking to ghosts, he's talking to demons. Because
oh my
they
God,
said ghosts
It's
aren't in the
because they don't
Bible,
have the
so I don't
mindset to
believe in ghosts.
understand the what's going on in, like, I mean, purgatory is a place. It is a dimension. It is a place that ghosts like to go because they can't move forward in their life. They can't go to heaven, they can't go to hell because they're stuck in the in between, because whatever they lived in that lifetime, they did not fulfill. So they have to fulfill that. So they have to be reincarnated again before they can
Yeah,
go to heaven or hell.
yeah, that's true.
And the only
And
way to
it's
do that in purgatory is if you see a light. You have to touch that light. That
yeah,
is the only way you get a second or third
Right,
or
but you,
fourth chance.
mhm.
that's true.
You also have the
That's true.
choice not to touch either light. You've always got choice.
Yeah,
So
Okay,
you
that's
don't
why
have to
people are
touch
stuck
it if
there.
you don't
They
want to
choose
be.
not to touch a light.
okay, I'm
But
gonna add a
some
little
people,
something
like
to it.
one spirit I contacted, he Bruno Rodi, evil man, committed murders. He was convicted of bribery. He was convicted of threatening people for money.
Hmm.
He was Al Capone's top bomb making guy. He blew people up, literally blew houses up, blew buildings up. He was stuck
Yeah.
in one building, in fact, in one room in that building where his funeral was. It's an old funeral parlor. He was stuck where they kept the bodies, the old ice room, before they had air conditioning and freezers.
Hmm.
This was
Yeah.
he was buried in '56. His funeral was a month before I was born, but he was stuck there. And what we
Mm,
did, we opened him up to move around so we could leave that place. He was keeping 20, either 22 to 25 other spirits locked in that building with him, just so he wouldn't be alone.
wow. Interesting.
And what we did, we freed him
You
so
know
he
what?
could go back and forth to the real world and purgatory. He would not touch the light. He would not follow the light or the stairs or whatever metaphor you want to put in there because he knew where he was going. His evil life,
Hmm.
he would have gone straight to hell. Even though
Yep.
he
I'm gonna
was,
add.
And
like
some
most
people
mobsters,
didn't want to deal with that.
practicing Catholics.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna add a little something to what Harlan said. You know how, like, when a person dies, our loved ones, right? Oh no, you're not talking
Yep.
to your loved one. It's a demon. Oh, it's a demon's impersonating your loved one. Really?
Right.
My
Exactly.
perspective on your loved ones,
Exactly.
that if you're talking to a loved one, it's not a loved one. It's something evil trying to, and that you're being tricked, that you're being communicating with your loved one. No, I've seen proof that I am talking to my loved one. I saw my grandpa before we went to the funeral home. That was at the time when my mom was still around. I told them that I saw his outline, and the outline that I saw, he was see through. And I remember at the time, everybody from out of town came, and they had said, where we're gonna sleep, like we all gave everybody's bed up. Well, I slept in my mom's room at that time. Okay, that day we had to get up to go to the funeral home. They already had his body for just for the first day for the viewing and all that. I turn around and I'm like dead asleep. The alarm wakes me up. I woke up and I looked and I know I saw what I saw. I looked to the where the restroom was. It was and he just stood there and just looked at me. He had this beautiful, I mean, beautiful outline on him. He looked so pure, like he was in peace. And I remember him just going like this, and I was laying down and I was like, and then 2 minutes later I get up because I freaked out. I thought maybe, because you know how like when you try to debunk it and you're just thinking maybe you're just seeing shit. Well, lucky enough I got to see him that 1 minute, and then when I turned around, I just wanted to how long he was gonna stay there. He stood there for maybe a good 2 3 minutes. I try to follow him. He goes into the room, out, and then the kitchen's there. Right before he turned, where the door was open, he disappeared, and all you could see was just a round orb went into the kitchen and disappeared. And
That's kind of like the story my mom told me a little bit.
I was like, wow. And then I was like, if people think that you cannot talk and your loved ones cannot talk to you, you're wrong. Because it's beautiful that you can talk to your loved ones. And for the people that get your little shit confused, you're not talking to a demon. You're not talking to the devil. You're actually talking to your mom. You're talking to your dad, whoever passed away. You can be visited. You can communicate with them. It's just, it's got to come from here, not up
And
here.
not just that, people also have to understand that demons are not all evil. I mean, some of us, honestly, because of the past lives that we have lived or whatnot, we have demon, how do I say, demon protectors. Meaning they protect us from whatever we are about to encounter in this life. Yeah, there's angels. You know, like the saying where angels follow you, they're there to protect you and guide you. But does ever anybody actually
Right.
understand that some of us actually have demon protectors where they guide us and they protect us?
Yeah. And it just, to me, is contradicting again, as we started at the beginning of the show. I just think that people are too
It
much.
is.
Well, I'm gonna actually say this, and I've never, I want to actually, I don't know if I've ever cussed. I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna go there anyways. To get out the head out of your ass and start opening your mind and have an open
They
mind.
watch too many movies, is what it
Mm-hmm.
is, Chris.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry, Lynn.
movies
I didn't
make you
mean.
think that
True. True.
possession is real. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, possession is real, especially if you don't have control over whatever possesses you. But if you're born with them, it's not like they possess you. It's like you are them and they are you.
Sorry, Lynn. I didn't mean to cuss if I wasn't allowed to. Just sorry. I
No,
don't know
I
if I've
was I
ever,
was done.
you know, but
Oh,
that's just how.
one thing I would like to say, what Hardy, you, Chris, you brought up what Harley was talking about at the first of the show, where the Bible comes
Yes.
funerals.
Yes.
We've all been to funerals. Is one funeral will say they've gone to a better place. They tell the family they're in a better place now. They're looking down on you and smiling because you're here. And then, but if you start reading the Bible, it says that when you die, you go to sleep and you're not arisen until Christ come down and blows the horn,
Hmm.
and then all
But
the
what if
souls
that's not
go to heaven.
actually 100%
So
true? Like I get that people have said
yeah, it's
that we,
contradictory. You're
yeah, you sit there and you rest for eternity until God comes down and he gets all his people and everything else. That means nobody is in heaven and that there's no such thing as fucking heaven until, excuse my language, my bad.
We're both
um
apologizing.
that
right,
um you won't go to heaven until he comes back and he comes and gets you. That means nobody's in heaven. Nobody ever made it to heaven.
right,
But it talks
right,
about heaven. So that's
right. Nobody's
contradicting
there.
itself.
It's empty.
Yeah, it's completely empty.
Hmm.
But
And
what if
saying
it,
that your
what
love was in a
if
better place. That,
it's a better place? Because if you look at what God says, life is an eternity, means you're constantly being reborn until he comes back. Because life is eternity. You learn a lesson by going to hell and spending your time in hell. And then you go to wherever you need to go, and then you're reborn. There is no going to heaven. There is no staying in hell forever. You're constantly being born because it's eternity. You are, like, in other words, humans are um eternity. Means life is never ending. You will live forever because when you go to heaven, you pick through the book of life to be born again. You go to hell, you learn your lesson for 1,000 years, and then you're reincarnated. So it's just a constant battle of being reincarnated until God comes down here, and then we go to heaven.
And it's crazy too because I'm gonna add a little something within the spiritual spectrum.
But that's the way I
People,
believe. Other
yeah,
people can believe something totally different.
yeah, and I agree with that. But I want to tell you a little something too. You know how like they say there's no such thing as dimensions, portals,
There is.
a
There's lots of
vortex.
portals and
Yeah,
dimensions.
they could be right in front of you and you wouldn't even know. And I do believe with the Native American tradition, when you cut the trees, you're actually cutting your ancestors. You're cutting a part of nature. That's where the Native Indians come into play. So if you really think about it, when they cut all these trees down, just say for instance they cut all the trees, do you know what you're actually doing?
You're
You're
making it
getting
where
rid of
you can't
all.
breathe because
Yeah,
the trees is actually oxygen for us.
exactly, exactly. So what the trees do, get rid of the carbon dioxide that we don't acknowledge, and it blows into the leaves and it gets rid of it, and then it throws it out and it gives us oxygen. So what you're doing is you're destroying the earth and the chances of you and us, you're getting rid of the oxygen in the air. So why are you cutting the trees for? But then in the same token, it's also that you're cutting nature, Native American tradition, Indians, people that travel in between trees, which I do believe everything has a life to it. Everything has a heartbeat. Everything has a spirit. You might say, oh, the trees don't have spirits. Bullshit, they don't, because they do. Every tree has a name. Every plant has a name. Every little plant that grows on the grass has a name. Everything
Yeah, but
has a
people don't
name.
care about that. That's why whenever you are a plant and you're reincarnated into a human, you never go back to a plant. Same way with animals. If you look at it, why is it that whenever you turn the word dog around, it's actually God? Because animals are more purity than we are. Once you are an animal and you live that life and you become a human, you never go back to being an animal or a plant because now you know right from wrong that animals don't understand and plants are very pure.
It's true.
You can't go back.
You can't go back, and they have innocence because they're here to be to to give you love. And then what along those lines, if you hit a dog, you kick it, you abuse it, it's still gonna love you no matter what. But God sees what you do. I'm not saying you will get punished for it. You just will deal with it when it's your time. Because
There's
God,
also another saying that I do not like that the Bible kind of speaks about,
what
and
does
that
it
is
say?
if you do, like, okay, so the Bible
Go ahead.
says that, like, whenever you do something wrong and you know you're doing wrong, you could pray about it and God forgives you. So, in my perspective, if a guy rapes a child and then he feels guilty for it in a few days or a month or whatever, and he's like, "Oh God, forgive me for my sins." Supposedly, God will forgive you. Or you do something like that in that state and you go to prison for the things that you've done wrong. But then you get into the Bible and you start believing in the Bible and you start reading and you're like, oh God, forgive me. But 5 months after you get out of prison, you do the same thing. Supposedly God forgives you for that stuff. I don't think that they should be forgiven for that thing. I think they should learn a lesson before they are forgiven. Because
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
perspective, that is like the worst thing on life that somebody can go through is being raped or molested or something like that. In that perspective, why would God forgive somebody that can do something like that to a child that is innocent and don't know right from wrong?
That is
But
true.
you're forgiven?
Yeah. Yeah. And it says, I call them people hypocrites. That's why I think they are. Okay. Thank you, Mary Johnson. So, but like I said, I just, agree with a lot of stuff. I think some people just get away with shit, but, and really, I don't think you really get away with at the end of the day, you will be judged. You don't have to answer to me. You don't have to answer to Lynn. You don't have to answer to Harley. But there is one that you will have to answer, and it's not us. So if you think you're just gonna get away and laugh at, and say ha ha ha, I'm gonna get away with it. Nah, keep thinking that.
No one gets away with anything they do in life.
There you go.
If it's drugs, if it's stealing, if it's alcohol, if it's because you're addicted to certain things, I don't want to say the names because I'm trying to be PG-13, but
Well, any kind of addiction to anything is wrong. You can be
yeah,
addicted to cocaine. You can get addicted to alcohol. I knew two guys who went into business together. Both of them smart. They were well educated, and one of them was got a doctoral in accounting. So he knew how to keep books. So you think these two people will be a success. One of them had a personality; he could talk and sell anything to anybody.
Wow.
You think, okay, this is a recipe for success with this team up. Trouble is, there was two addictions. One of them was addicted to alcohol and got drunk every night. So most of his money was putting alcohol into his drinking. The other one was a sex addict.
Oh my God.
He was married, had
yes,
several kids, mainly because he'd be screwing around with his students or somebody else, and his wife would find out about it. And to keep him at home, they'd have sex and she'd have a kid. Every time she caught him playing around, she got pregnant again.
Mm-mm-mm.
And last I heard, he was closing in on 60 years old, and his wife was pregnant
Wow.
it happens.
Yeah,
because
for
again
real.
he'd been playing around, and both the business failed miserably. The guy who was addicted to alcohol drank himself to death one night, and he died in a big, huge mansion where he lived by himself that was poorly built, that was falling apart around him because he didn't have the he spent so much money on alcohol and the house itself he didn't maintain it, so it literally was falling down around him when he died. The other guy was still
Wow.
having marital problems because he could not keep his personal bits to himself. He saw a good looking woman, he was after her. Another guy that died of cancer, and he finally got a divorce because his wife, after about 25 years of marriage and him playing around with every woman he came across, and he ended up with cancer and dying early.
I mean,
Another sex addict. You can be addicted to sex just like anything else.
yeah, I
Hmm.
think, yeah, I think it's just bad. I mean, some people just think they get, that common law that doesn't, they get away with shit and they can walk away with shit. But
Karma does work in mysterious ways.
yeah, yeah, and I just feel that, everything we talk about, hopefully people learn because the main thing that I wanted to talk about is everything we said. But just remember what I said. People, if you didn't get that fucking warning when our internet shut down on Facebook, and you think that that technology and the electrical shit is gonna stop working, and that we're always gonna have all these apps on our phone, you got another thing coming
I
because
think it was a test.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
like one of those beeping thingies, like they do a test for like, oh, a tornado's coming or something like that. Like they made a
mhm,
test to see what people were gonna do whenever the internet was down.
yeah, yeah, and it's a
It,
warning that
Harley,
that
on
it
the
can.
opposite coin of what you're talking about, it could have been Russia or China testing if they could do it. Yahoo
Hmm.
went down last month, or at least about 6 weeks ago. Yahoo went completely down for a while. So what's causing all these outages? We are fast
Yeah,
approaching a war with both Russia and China. Both of them have very good computer people that would love to hack into our system. And Chris, you brought up something about we don't know what missiles everybody was talking about. 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, but China's
they
so
admitted that
big that
Russia,
China would totally destroy us.
yeah, exactly.
well,
Yeah,
they got the people, but we got about 10 times more nuclear weapons than China.
Hmm.
We can glass every major city in China 2 or 3 times, and their missiles wouldn't. They don't have enough that would hit to destroy a few major cities.
I think that
And
is scary.
impossible between the two of us and mankind. But what I'm
I
thinking,
think
Russia
China
was
and the
testing,
United States
and
are working together, honestly, because COVID was created by the United States by a scientist, and then it was set free in China, and people from here were in China and brought it back. So honestly, I think they're all in the freaking commence with each other.
Yeah, they're getting a cut in it because they're getting the
uh,
money and
nobody knows.
they're probably getting a cut.
But Russia was testing a new missile that
I
they say
remember
could
when he
take out
brought
our
that up.
satellites. One way to one way to take out the satellites and communication is an EMP. You know what an EMP is, don't you?
I'm real hungry.
Electromagnetic pulse. If you if you set off a nuclear bomb up upstairs where the planes fly, you want to set off a nuclear bomb to attack a city about 10,000 feet over the ground. That way you have it hits the ground with a maximum force and maximum destructive power. But if you fire one off, say 5 or 6 miles in the air, it can create electromagnetic pulse that can knock out satellites above it and knock out our dishes down below it. And I think that's what they were talking about that Russia was testing. Because Russia, Putin specifically, wants to end the United States. He hates the United States. We have too much freedom. We have a fantastic economy, and all they've got is oil and nuclear bombs. That's all Russia has. China's jealous of our economy. They want to take over Taiwan because Taiwan sells a lot of stuff to us, and we have by far the greatest economy in the world. We are head and
Yeah,
shoulders and belt buckles over the rest of the world as far as the economy goes. And Xi is drunk on power. He's been in power now for about 20, 25 years now. He is drunk on power. Putin's been in power for about 30 years. He's a former KGB agent. He is absolutely drunk with power. And
yeah, they
anybody that
have,
gets drunk with power is scary.
yeah, because they
And they
abuse
want
it.
to end us.
Yeah, and I do feel that
Yeah, they
in the
abuse it.
time, I think,
Our power's like a drug. Uh,
yeah, and
Ask
you know what
anybody
I
who's
think
gone to
too?
Washington. Once you've walked into it, if you've ever talked to a president, you like that feeling. Everybody wants to speak to a president, somebody high up in the government, and you can feel that power, and it feels good, and you want more of it. But the more you want power, the least likely you need it, because the people who crave power should not have power because they will abuse
Yeah,
it, like you just said,
yeah,
Chris.
yeah, and I believe that that it's sad
I
that
have
they
to
don't
control
have.
myself because I mm, I've sat down with the president before. I knew Jimmy Carter before when he was elected to state legislature. I used to go to wrestling matches with his mother. And I've known
Wow.
congressmen all my life. My cousin, actually, it was my mother's cousin, so it's my second cousin. He married the senator of Florida at the time. So I've
Wow.
sat down with mayors many times. I was in charge of the Olympics in Columbus, Georgia, for a while in the early '90s. I turned it over to a general because I thought he
Damn.
could run it better because we were using Fort Benning to house the athletes in Columbus. But
Wow.
I know how it feels to be next to power. It is intoxicating. And she and
That's
Putin are absolutely drunk with power.
that's where the ego comes into play. You gotta have that balance. Do not let it get to your head. You know what? And it goes funny that you
Mm-hmm.
bring that up because there's been
Yeah.
subjects um, that that me and a good friend of mine, which I don't know if he's watching, but I know he's active. He is very wise beyond his years. Oh my God, he's amazing. By the way, I'm gonna say his name. They're gonna be freaked out. I've never mentioned his name before on any live ever, but I'm gonna throw it out there now. Len sends you part of the chat. Hopefully, in time, you get to meet him. He really kind of just trips me out. Okay. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Logan wherever you are, because I know you're active. So he's a trip. Just let me tell you, but he's got a lot of wise, and he's part of the group also. Um, a lot of the stuff that we were talking about was, I think it was like maybe about a week ago. I'll give you a little subject. I told him, I said, the thing with me is, he's like, because he knows about what happened to me. And he's like, how do you deal, how do I deal with all this emotion? He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, okay. And, but the way I look at it is, it is kind of trippy. Um, I don't know. He is a trip. He's learned a lot of shit. And,
Yeah, I look forward to meeting him.
yeah, he's put me in a spot where, how do you keep balance with your gifts? How do you do that? How do you keep it to where you don't let abilities control you and you control them? And he says, you're just very humble and you haven't changed. It's tough when you fight yourself. Trust me. I know what it feels like. To me, it's like, and it trips me out. I really don't know. I just don't know what to think about it because he's good though. He's a good friend. And I think everybody in the group is like amazing. Harley's done a lot of good things for me too. It's just, I don't know. But to me, it's just, I don't know, man. I trip out on that kind of shit because how do I keep the balance? I ask myself that every day, dude. Every day. And you would think when you look at me, you would think like, I don't have doubt in myself. I do. I do, but how do I come out with everything right? It's more of having faith and knowing that I haven't reached to my full potential, and that's something that he brought up. And him and Hardy was like really kind of blew my mind because Hardy really got me too on that subject. Um, they have their gifts and stuff, but there's days where I have doubts, but I just don't show it. But I think my doubts override everything, they overdo, and I don't know. It just freaks me the hell out. And I'm gonna ask you something. And how do you deal with the subject that I just brought up?
Which subject was
What was
that?
it? About having
Huh?
to deal with gifts and having to do with gifts and having to do with doubt. How do you deal with that?
Every
What advice
everybody
I
ha-
would
everybody has their doubts. You just gotta put them to the side. I said
that's
everybody has them,
even the best, right? Even the best people
and
have the gift.
you got to learn how to
My bad.
overcome.
I
You
pushed the
okay?
wrong
Yes,
button. Yeah.
Okay, I was just checking if you're okay.
uh,
Yeah,
But
I'm fine.
I've seen
but
people who were running for political office, but they had a little doubt about their message. Could they go to this big meeting? Could they nail a speech they had to make? And what you got to do is suppress your doubts and keep moving. Keep doing what you need to do.
yeah, that's where Hardy and him they helped me out. You know, because it was one night where I couldn't sleep. You know, and he was like, I want to chat, and it was around 3 o'clock, of course. He popped up and he's like, and he hadn't been like coming home from hanging out with his friends. I talked and I said, you know what, I feel like I need to talk to him. And he had this beautiful design behind him, which I learned something. Um, he was asking me all these questions, and then around, I said about 3:30, don't remember exactly. Harley pops up, says, "What are y'all doing on the chat?" I was like, "We can't sleep." So she pops up and she says all this knowledge to me. They both got me good because I look up to, like I said, I look up to everybody, and then they look up to me and like all the stuff I say, the stuff they say, it really is trippy when they guide me and I guide them, and every day I learn, and it's like how do you how do you keep control for not having abusing that power? Because everybody has some type of power. You just gotta know how to maintain it. Don't let the power consume you. You control it. And I think that's why people like who I am because I'm just very just laid back and I just don't show any power in me. Because you know why? Because at the end of the day, I'm just me. But others are like, you shouldn't see yourself like that. Do you feel like you're at your full potential? And I've been asked that several times. And you know what answer I've given them, Lynn? Am I at my full potential? I told them no. Why? Don't know. And I could be at my fullest potential now, but I feel like I think it's like doubt and kind of fear. Because once you're at your full potential, this is what he told me. Once you're at your highest, and then there's other people that are down here, it can be scary because once you're way up here, you can't go back down. And that's the scary part. So when you're way up here at your vibration, your frequency, your gifts, you're way up here. Once you accept it, you embrace it, you're up here. And you're looking at everybody down there like, oh shit, I left them behind. But with me, I'm like this. I even it out. I could feel like 1,000 miles way up here in my vibration with my gifts, way up here. But in my heart, I'm right here. And that's where the humbleness comes in. And it goes back to what you said, power. And that's a very good subject you brought up because God gave us this gift. Now it depends on how we use that gift. So I wanted to say
Right.
thank you for bringing that up because that just brought it up to where Harley and him has really helped me a very long time to keep that balance and not changing and thinking that I'm stuck up because I don't act stuck up. I don't. I'm still very like I am very laid back. You've known me long enough. Harley's very humble too. She doesn't act stuck up. She's herself. She'll say what's on her mind. but I love her for that. She's just amazing. And everybody in the group is amazing. They have their own personality, and that's what makes them them. They have that balance. And there's a lot of things that I want to be honest, and that there's a lot of things that I haven't accepted. And I'm working on as I speak. I'm working on knowing that I know I'm not at my highest. I could be at my highest. I'm, maybe my spirit feels up here and my body and my mind doesn't. So I'm kind of like behind on that. And that's where power comes into play, balance, acceptance, growth. It's all just in one. And you know what the crazy thing about this is? I'm having a hard time accepting that I could be in my hands right now. Hard for me. Why?
Mm.
Because I'm a giver. It's in my nature. Me being a Virgo, I'm here to serve and help others. So I'm not thinking of my potential. And honestly, I'm gonna say this too, and I know I'm gonna probably get people are gonna get mad at me for saying this in chat. I don't think of myself. I think of them. But lately that's been a little bit different. Where now others have said, "Chris, I know you help us. I get it. Are you ever gonna think about yourself? Are you ever gonna work on yourself?" I said, "No, it's not about me. It never was. It never was about me." And you know what's funny? That one person I just told you then told me those exact words when I refer to who he was, and he goes, "Chris, you remember all your dreams?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"No."
It's
I
funny
told,
that you say that, Chris, that you help other people, you don't help yourself. Because I think we all do that.
Mm.
but I don't feel that you do that, honey. I mean, you help others, but well, I don't know if you really help yourself. I think you kind of, I don't know if you do the same thing I
I
do.
help others more than I help myself, more than I should. I put
Uh,
myself down more than I should.
why? Can you tell me why now that we're on the subject?
Why? Because I'm not as important as other people are.
There you go. Could that be self-esteem, or is that just how you perceive shit?
Um, I don't think it's self-esteem because I have respect for myself. My depression likes to get in the way, but I just think that other people need more help than I do. So I try helping them more than I should help myself.
And
So
that's
say
the
like you're not feeling yourself, I would rather try to help you than help myself when I'm
yeah,
not feeling myself.
yeah. I'm like the same way. I'm the same way, and it's weird how me and you connect so well. We've known each other for a long time, and
It's
then
like
that's
that
the
with
first.
anyone though. I'm just that way. I'd rather help someone that is not having a good day versus helping myself when I'm not having a good day.
I just think it just goes back to what you said, Lily, and I'm glad you brought it up because when I told him who I thought he was, you know what, Meter? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say it because I'm not saying his name again. Um, I told him, I said, you know what I think? He's like, what? I go, who am I? He asked me, and I said, you're a prophet. You're one of the prophet. You're one of the what do you call them? Oh my god, I can't even think. It's like something's telling me to shut the fuck up. It's more of one of his prophets, God's prophet. Prophets. What do you call those people? Apostles. I forget what you call them. I can't think now.
Apostles?
Yeah. I told him that, and you know what he told me? He
What?
said, "I appreciate that you think that way, but I go, are you that? Are you who I think you are? One of the apostles from God?" And you know what he told me? I can't tell you that. And he looked right at the screen, and I was like, and I said, why? He said, I can't tell you that. And I was like, hey. So then, he was laying back and we're just there. He had his lights like behind him, they were blue. But then Hardy's like, Chris, I want to ask you a question. I think I know what it is. She puts me on the spot. She's like, what do you think that is behind him? Why does he have that behind him, right? Every time he's on camera. Why does he always behind him? I don't remember what I said. I don't remember. He just stood there and smiled. I said, yeah, you're just going to sit there and smile about it because he knows. But I guess it's a learning process. So I'm just like, and then I told him, I said, that's where you're from. I told him that. And Hardy's like, no, that's where we are from. And then I paused for like a second. And I'm just like, I didn't have no response because Hardy got me good on that one. And now that I think about it, that one planet rings a bell. I swear I've seen that planet from somewhere. I can't.
That's the same day that we were having that conversation. That's how I felt.
And the thing about this land is one day you need to come up. One day when that name pops up, the name I told you, which I'm not saying his name again, you need to come up one day. You'll be surprised what he says. He's very, very informative and kind of like freaks me out. And I told him too. And I told him, I said, do you ever like you go through problems and you know where I go? I said, how do you hide it so well? And he just gave me a little positive, like I just, it's not about me. It's about you guys. And right when he said that, I heard in my head, what do you say to yourself, Chris? You don't help yourself. You're the same way as him. So I accepted that he doesn't think highly of himself. He doesn't act stuck up. He doesn't, he's just in that same. But to me, even though he's my friend, he's way up here. I can be way up there, but I just don't accept it. Now the question is, Lynn, I got a question for you. Why I'm bringing this up? Am I wrong for not seeing myself up here when I should? What is your perspective on vibrations and frequencies? I'll let you talk and see what you have to say.
You
Because there's still
you are you are being you. See, I've got a different outlook on that as you do because I'm married. Everything I do is for her.
okay.
I have very few other people that I need to do anything for. I did a count the other day, and throughout my life, I have lost very close to 30 friends. Most of them died younger. I have a lot of schoolmates my age that have been dead 10 years. Some of them have been dead 20. I had one that died in 73. Oh, excuse me, 83. We graduated 74 high school together, and 9 years later he was dead. Had a friend that died in the 8th grade.
Wow.
I have many more dead friends than live friends. So my whole life is centered around uh, doing stuff right for Gail.
And that's no.
Sure,
Yeah, but
I
knowing
may
the way
raise hell and talk a little bit. Sometimes go out and drink a little bit, but she knows who I'll come home to.
and that's the thing is that it's funny that you bring that up.
So
But
it's not. I don't put myself up or down.
yeah,
I
now
push her up.
see. So knowing that you said that, how do you see me as knowing that you've known me? Do you see me as way up here, or do you see me way up here? I mean, I'm just asking your opinion. What? How do you see me,
I
Anthony?
don't look at anybody and say up or down. I don't judge people. Like I said,
Okay.
I don't judge people. If God
No,
put
it's
me
not
here to judge
very.
people, I want a paycheck, and I don't get a paycheck from God.
Oh shit! I like that answer, but I mean, I'm not saying you're judging me. It's just
But
how you think. But you know what I'm asking, right? But I like that answer though. Oh shit! I actually do like that answer. But in reality, I just
I tell people that are really judgmental, and you've known people judgmental. Everybody knows
yeah,
people that are judgmental.
that's true. I mean, it's just so weird
I say
how
God did not put me down here to judge. If he wants me to judge, he didn't tell me. He didn't tell me. He doesn't pay me.
good answer. Good answer. I like that.
And I think you're trying to be a good person. You're trying to have success in life. Uh, if you don't mind me asking, Chris, how old are you?
You just had to go there. I'm 47. Don't look 47. I don't look my age. I've been told I have
Mm-hmm.
look look wise beyond my years. And funny that you mentioned age. I'm very fascinated with numerology. Numbers have very significant to things. Um, the numbers that I have known that have always been a part of my life has been 7, 9, and 3, or 33 for that matter. Now I'm gonna tell you where 7 comes
I was
into
about to
play.
say 3 is my number. Don't even go there.
So where the 7 comes into play is my grandma. My grandma passed away before Mother's Day, so 7 is very significant to me. The year 33 is my grandmother's, the year she was born. Yeah. And then 9 is very, very high vibration for me. Um, and now it's really kind of, I just don't even have words about my mom. I gotta figure out my mom with the numbers because I know 33s are very significant. But I think to me, I think it's not so much the day that when it happened. I think it's going to be her birthday. So 8 is going to be very important because her birthday is January 8th. And by the way, she's a Capricorn. Um, what else? I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and by the way, she just turned 65. so I think 33 is very significant for me.
You see, one way
But
I'm hmm,
go
one
ahead.
way I'm envious of you is you have family. You're talking about your grandmother,
Yes.
so I envy you for that
Why is that?
because you've got family you you can call back on. I don't. I
Okay.
was adopted at birth. I have no idea who my biological parents were. Uh, my adoptive father disowned me on his deathbed.
Oh my God.
My mother, her first marriage that was arranged by her family, she walked out on him because he was abusive.
Wow.
My father, who was her second husband, had to pay for her divorce because her family disowned her because she wouldn't go back to her first husband. And my mother was a double-digit IQer. She was to the point where she could not live by herself. She needed to have somebody else pay the bills and to help her in her day-to-day life. She couldn't even hold down a job because she was usually embarrassed about something. And her family worshiped my father because they know what would happen if he had not married her. My mother would have been living with them and they would have been taking care of her. So they worshiped the ground my father walked on. But because we were not related to him biologically, my mother's family, the only one, her aunt and her aunt's kids, were the only ones that would really talk to her. And they decided that when my father died, they didn't want to speak to me and my sister. My sister went down there and pulled some kind of crap with the aunt before she died. I think they were trying to get her to let them move into her house or something. I'm not sure. I don't know what it was, but my cousin was just, oh my God, pissed at it and mad at me, thinking I was behind it too. I've always been accused of doing things my sister did.
Wow.
So I have no family to contact with. My sister and I have spoken one time since I've been married. I told her I was in Chicago, and I talked to her one other time, sometime about the time I got married, and we hadn't spoken again before a year before last, and we'll probably never speak again. See, family outside of Gail, I really don't have any, because the cousins I got on my father's side, my father was the youngest in the family, and he was 36 years old before I was adopted. So the youngest cousin next to me is 4 or 5 years older than I am, and that's the next youngest cousin. So they've never been able to relate to me at all.
Oh my God, I'm scaring myself.
So
Listen,
I don't talk to any of. I don't talk to any of them. So
I'm freaking out. Okay.
I envy you having a family, being able to say your grandmother, because my grandparents on my mother's side had disowned her, so I never met them. My father's father, my grandfather on his side, died back in the 30s, and his mother died when I was 8 years old.
Damn. Okay.
So I never really got to know her. She wouldn't even speak to me.
Okay. You know how everything.
So that's why I envy you.
Okay, so I got numbers for you. Okay. You're gonna freak out because my mom taught me this stuff and I don't know why I'm doing it now. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I did, and then you're gonna figure out what this is. Okay. 2 plus 1 plus 0. I added that. That's something else. Okay, I'll tell you what that is. Then 9 plus 7 plus 4. I didn't add that, but I'll do that later. And then I put 3 plus 4 plus 7 plus 0 and then equals. Okay? When I did all that together, I got 34. Then when I did 34, 3 plus 4 is 7. Now, you're thinking, where the fuck are you getting these numbers from? I'm going to show you. 2 plus 1 plus 0 is my area code, which is this phone I'm on right now. 9 plus 7 plus 4 is this number again. So if you do that, what is 9 plus 7? So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then the 4, 17, 18, 19, 20.
16.
So that's 2. No, when you add the 3 numbers together, it's 20. Okay, that's 20. But if you add all the numbers together, including, wait, did I do it right? So it's, yeah. So it comes out to 34 equals a 7. Goes back to my 7. Oh my God, I'm done. And then, so, numerology is everything. And you know what someone told me? That everything that around you has a number, even to your social. Yeah, it adds to 2 numbers. Plus, it equals, like, say don't have to say your social, but you add all the numbers, then you're going to get 2 numbers left, and then you equal what you get. That is a certain number within your social. It means something. Same thing for your birthday. And my birthday is 9/12/76. From 9 plus, the 12 and all that. I've noticed that on my birthday, there's a lot of threes that come out. From the month, the day, and all that. I mean, I freak out, and then what else I did one time? I did my name, because you know how you have your name. Each letter has a letter in your name, like A, B, C. So what is C? Number 3. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. That's 7. With my first what I like to be called, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, O, P, Q, O, R. So it's like, oh, she's getting tired. Okay, she's getting tired. Hardy's probably gonna go to bed. So we'll probably cut it short for a little bit. But like I
Yeah,
said,
Chris, we are now over 2 hours.
okay, then we can cut it down. I don't know if she's gonna come back, so we can just go back
Because
and chat.
you
I
were
don't know if
talking
she's gonna
about
come
going
back.
for 15, 20 minutes when we started.
That's what
You said
we
you're just going to go
kept
15 or 20
talking.
minutes.
Okay, well then we can end it right here. So what I was gonna say, Glenn, thank you for having us on as always. Oh my God, we need to talk and chat with those numbers. I don't know why I'm getting these numbers in my head. Every time they do this shit to me, and when I add it, my whole number, it comes out to a 7. So this number is a spiritual number 7 with all numbers together. I think that's very significant. And I find that very strange now that I'm thinking of everything that's happened to me. That means I'm gonna have to add the date of my mom, and then the day and that has a meaning behind it. So that would be January to, no, that's a 10. That's 11. That's a master number 11. The day. Okay, now I'm freaking out. Okay, we need to get off before I go any further. Oh my God, I'm processing all this shit. Well, I'll see you in chat, but thanks, Lynn, for having me
Hey,
and
Chris,
Hardy on. And for the rest
we'll,
of you
we'll, we'll,
guys,
we'll
see
see
you
you in
later.
chat. I appreciate I appreciate y'all coming on at such short notice.
Anytime. See you in chat. Bye,
So
guys.
we'll see you in chat.
Good night.
Good night. And it's been one of those nights. Every time Chris and I get together, it's some weirdness. We talked in all directions tonight. It was interesting conversation. There was a lot of people in the chat room talking about it and listening to us. So I'm glad they did that. I hope they had a great time. I hope they learned something. Next week, I will have Greg Koss on. And in 2 weeks, will be the guest that had to cancel on me tonight. Jenn Jacobs will be here in 2 weeks, hopefully. But after that, I have no guests. So if anybody wants to volunteer for a guest, unless you won't watch me talking to myself here, I need some guests. So contact me on Facebook Messenger is the best way to contact me. I'm interested in listening to anybody who's into the paranormal. If you're just a group or a person investigating, if you have a paranormal location like Ashmore Estates or Broadview Manor, they've been on here. I think a long time ago, Ashmore Estates people were on here. I'm not sure. It's been about 3 years. But anyway, be glad to hear you. Let you promote your event if you're having a Paracon. Whatever you want to talk about, let's talk about it and we'll promote it. And I'm also looking for anybody with a Paracon or has a location. If they want to make a 30, 40-second video, I will show it for free at halftime. Right now, I have nothing to show. That's why I didn't even call a halftime tonight. But if I'm running a 2-hour show, about 5 minutes till the hour, I will cut it off, play your video, and then go back with a guest. And then at the end of the show, like right now, when all the guests are gone, I will play your video again to get some advertising for you. And I will do that for free. All you got to do is just make a 30 or 40-second video. That's all I ask. So if you want to appear on the show, fine. If you want to give me a video, fine too. No charge for either. And we'll promote the devil out of you. And we'll show, if keep it with 1 hour show, I can show it again. But anyway, happy days. We'll see y'all later. And we'll see you next week at the next location, which I hope will be a great cause. Until then, see you on the other side. Bones, go ahead and play our outro. Good
Thanks
night.
for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?